So guys,
Ты видай.
let's start our class.
Yeah.
So today our first real class, let me say like this, and first I need to say that you need to understand how our class will go on. So firstly about these two for weeks we will have, if you are learning in some really cool math school, in this case it will be easy for you because probably you should know vectors, matrices and so on. But we need to learn it right now because we need to have the same language. I mean, we need to understand when talking about span, you understand what it means span. Talk about even in English, in Russian and English both. And after this we will, let's say, increase our complexity and solve more complicated tasks. So firstly, I'd like to understand what you understood from the lecture. Who can explain me the vector? What is it? Nikita,
It's a set of vectors.
set of what?
Yes. No, it's set.
I asked.
It's like a row. A row. No.
Again, Nikita.
Set of. No, they.
Set of
Dots.
dots.
No.
Because I didn't hear. Okay, dots. Others, what do you think?
A row. So.
Evan, what do you think?
Стрела, которая
Arrow.
Arrow.
Okay. Okay, what do you think?
In physical, it's direction. Maybe
Direct
direction.
arrow.
Direction.
Directed arrow.
Okay.
It's something that has length and direction.
Actually, you used a good word because actually we can, in computer science, what does it mean?
Vector.
Yes.
It's
set of ordered
set of like you
Ваня, будешь перебывать время пары, как ты это делал на дичи, цифры сейчас от колбаски. Okay, let's continue. So, actually in terms of computer science, yes, it's just a list or array, as you call it like this. We use work with it. If we talk about physics, yes, you're right. That it's, we usually say that we have direction and we have magnitude or length. But you need to understand, what the property of vectors? What do you know? Actually, what else? We have mass. Vector in terms of mass. What does it mean for us?
In terms of mass.
Yes. At both and it has some mass. So actually, we are talking about that we can. What operation do we have with vectors?
Multiplication by scalar.
And subtraction. Are you sure about subtraction? I didn't hear in my life that we have subtraction in the math.
Subtraction you can replace by addition. Like,
You have unitary operation called yes, which change the direction of your vector, but it's not simulation.
Addition and scalar.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We discussed about it. About vectors. Again, what the problem with it? So, actually, for instance, velocity. Do you know the difference between velocity and speed? Velocity, it's a vector. It's velocity. Because we have direction and the magnitude of it will be a speed.
Speed is almost right?
Yes. Like this. What the property of vector? Actually, it works, unfortunately, not only in math, not in real life sometimes. So like this. Vector can be, it doesn't have a frame. Actually, vector is frameless. It can be in any place. So how can we check it? X, Y, and we can take V2 and which is, I don't know, 4, 2, and I can take minus 1, 2, and minus 1, 4, 8. and in the end we will have the same vector. So vector is frameless. It's quite important, but not in physics, because when we talk about, we can apply velocity, linear velocity, only in one point. I mean, we find velocity in one point. I hope you remember this from school. But we have quasi-vectors. For instance, angular velocity. It's AGLA1. And in this case, it's applicable to any part of the body. Yes, because the drawing with omega is like this. Yeah. Just so that when we're talking about forces in a physical body, in rigid body, we can say that we can apply force according to the line. So, I mean, if I apply force to this point, I can say that I apply force to this point on this line. How I can prove it? Actually, if we are talking about rigid body, if this is my rigid body, I can make force just down, and it will be the same if I do like this for rigid body. But if I took, for instance, sorry, it's not very nice. Okay, this one. If I apply force from the top, it will be a bend. But if I apply force there, it won't be bent at the same situation. But in terms of mass, we can put the vector, I mean the vector will be the same in different places. It's quite crucial to understand in future the difference between vector and coordinate, because it's a common problem. I'd like to remark about agreement about laptops and so on. What? Yeah, no, beside you. Do you need a laptop right now? So could you focus? Okay. What about span? What is it?
Математическая оболочка.
No, I'd like to listen. Yes, you. What does it mean span? What does it mean span?
If it translates as span in Russian, then you can know.
You don't know what this means in English. Okay. Слушай, you know? You're not sure. Oh, what is it? Ah, okay. Do you know what this means? Try to explain in your words. I see.
I think
No. Повеси Валда. Okay, what's the equation? So what's the equation? You say that you remember the formula. What's the formula? This formula. Okay, you're saying the definition, but do you understand the real, I mean, in layman terms? What is it? Okay, so how do you want to
okay. I think span is a set of vectors in one space.
In what? In space.
In a space. One space.
Okay, so what does it mean space in then? Try to, again guys, our goal not to read the definition. Find that you found it or something like this. Actually your definition is so bad because I will listen to you a bit later. So actually yes, we can say that if we have a basis, so x, y, and all of these vectors, the set of these vectors will be a base. Or is this will be a span? Yes. just in limiters like this. So boom, boom, boom. Actually, it's neat in theoretical part, but in practical, I know that it might be met, but not real. I mean, I didn't met it in real life. Yes. What do you want to say? Okay, so what about linear independence and linear combination? What do you say? Guys, could you speak louder? Because destroy.
Vectors are vectors which samples vectors could be zero only if all coefficients would be zero.
Could you say the equation? Okay, alpha x plus beta y equals to 0, and our system will be linear independent, then
Alpha and beta on
only one solution. Okay, about basis. You need to understand that basis is very crucial when you say the one of the center. It's the center of our course because we have to work with it very close and understand it deeply. What do you say? Yes. How did you get what is mean basis? Read definition. Okay.
A set of vectors is a basis of a vector space. It is a span of vector space and the set is a linear vector.
So how to understand it in common language, not using these fancy words like span and so on for them, like me. Did you meet basis before? Yes. Are you sure? Actually, guys, again, basis, it's a very complicated part, and we can actually the Cartesian space xy is a basis. That's it. You work on it from the school. Cartesian coordinate.
Okay.
It's basis, and for the beginning, right now, we can stop on it on this definition. So when you ask people what does it mean base, you can say it's actually frame and it's Cartesian space, and it will be okay. But you need to understand that we also have a lot of tasks using bases, and in robotics, in many fields, you need to understand how to work with it. Actually, in math, when you're diving into math, you have to use bases because can bases be so? In this case, you need to understand our bases will be 1 0 0 1. Can it be 2 0 there?
Yes, actually.
Yeah. Yes, it can. Can our bases be like this? Yes, it can. And we will use it in our task. But for now, it can be duplicated for you. Just okay, take it to account, but don't think about it. Right now, mainly for you, you can think in basis in terms of this one. Just Cartesian space. It will be enough. About subspace we will discuss at the end of the class. It will be the last task. By the way, who opened the task and tried to solve it? We even heard that they appeared in the Moodle, right? Okay, why? After the presentation. Okay, guys. Now you need to understand that why we had such classes that on Friday we have lecture, on Monday we have classes. Because we want that after the lecture and tutorial, you open the future lab. Read the task and try to solve by yourself. Even more, you have a home task after this. You try to do it. You come to class and we can discuss it easily. So, it was in a Moodle, as I heard that it was in it's appeared in Moodle on Sunday.
8 or 9 tasks, that's...
So, like this, boom, boom. Is the reason why we put it like this. Because after the lecture you can try to use your knowledge from the lecture and apply it in the class. I know that part of you want to do it, but it might be hard. So, let's continue. About vector discussed, basis, linear dimension, blah 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 blah. Okay. About subspace, I told you we will discuss it later. First task. I hope you can do it without me. Just go briefly again that when we multiply, we multiply both coefficients. So in this case, 2, 8 will be 2, 4. If you summarize also both. So it will be 1 minus 5 plus minus 1, 2 plus minus 1. You need to understand that vectors and matrices actually is just one of the form how we can represent a system of linear equations. What I'm talking about? That actually this 2, 1, 2 plus 3 minus 5 minus 1, we can represent it as a system that have 2 multiplied by 1 plus 3 multiplied by minus 5 and 2 multiplied by 2 plus 3 multiplied by minus 1. It doesn't matter for us. I'm just about representation. So we have this, we can represent this form. We didn't cover matrix yet, but it's the same stuff. Okay. What's your name? What? Could you say the first and second task?
The sum of vectors is a vector.
Why?
According to axioms.
Okay, what about the second one?
Zero vector.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to discuss why zero vector appears and why do we need it. Yes, what is
The
this?
zero vector is actually the point, and the point is, and the vector consists of points. Yes, so the zero vector you can say that it is actually the base of the vector, probably.
Why do we need it? Sure. Yes.
Solving equations. It's like the numbers.
Actually, yes. You need to understand that, but now we are talking about math. In math, actually, for instance, on C++ templates, in Schablone, actually we want that we use the same way, the same, how to say, we define some functions, it's only we want to use them in different, in different situations, in the same manner. Actually, is the reason that why we have zero vectors, for instance. Because when we're talking about a minus 8, so it's better to explain on vectors. We have vector 2 multiplied by 1. It's just that 2 columns, 1 row. Plus 2 by 1. I hope you understood that we cannot summarize vectors if they have different dimensions. And if we are saying that it's equal to 0, in this case our math will be broken. Because we just, let's say, in math we know that it should have definitions, the same dimension as this guy. Okay, let's make it as a 0 vector, which will be also 0, 0, and will be 2 multiplied by 1. So think about 0 vector as not as some sacral stuff that I need to pray that it's 0 vector. Think about it as in terms of rather it's mathematician tool which help us to make everything consistent. Consistent. So guys, what about third? Mr. Vector?
Yeah.
Fourth?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yes.
And three one?
Yes.
Okay. Nothing special. Are you with me? The doctor. Now we're going to the basis. What about that? Yes, you. Alina. No. What do you think about this one? Is it basis? No. Why it's no? Could you explain?
Yeah, because they're, I guess you could say they're collinear, like are they? And if they are collinear, it's gonna be the basis.
So is it basis? No, first answer. No, why? No.
Because 1, 0 goes from one dimension, and 0, 0 does not go along anything.
Okay.
So, like, two vectors cannot be a basis if they are collinear, right? And those two are kind of collinear.
We can explain this matter. How can we explain different matter? Yes.
They are not linearly independent because we have infinitely many coefficients for second vector.
Saying, yeah. Again, I will say it as a dummy. So we have 0, 1 plus b 0, 0 equal to 0. I can take it 0 and this 100. And I will receive 0. In this case, it's not linear dependent. You can say it's 0. I can just do like this and forget about it. Unfortunately, if we are talking about the basis, we have to consider all vectors. And 0 is also a vector. In this case, it cannot be a basis. What about this guy? No, it's basis.
Well, it's basis for the plane.
Yes, it's a basis for
There's like 2 dimensions in the vectors. It doesn't matter.
Yes, it's basis. Actually, think that I can divide. So about frame, I can make a z-axis. Can I work on it in plane?
Yes, you can, sure.
Why it's not basis?
Well, because you cannot
It's
represent
basis.
every single
It's
vector.
basis.
It's basis, but 4.
For plane,
Uh,
5
four-
is a basis.
5 is basis.
5 is a basis for the plane.
4 it's
Yes.
not basis. It's not basis. 4.
4. Why?
It's basis.
It's
basis.
Why?
Basis.
6
Uh,
for 1
First is not the basis. and
Because they are
so
linear.
six
These
is
guys
not
are
basis.
linear independent. This guy is independent. Could you find the way when it will be linear independent?
просто система координат. Они все линейно независимы. То есть
So about this guy.
будет такая
Linear independent, or linear independent, because
И вот эти
1,
какие-то
2
векторы,
to 3.
то они все зависимы, и это уже...
So about this guy.
Yes, for a line. It's a basis for a line.
Yes.
Типа, тут каждый вектор независим.
This is
Actually, you can think
not
about
a
line.
set of vectors.
You can think about that. Actually, we can work in 1D when we say like this. So line is 1D actually, and we can work in this just. Actually, all these guys we will need really to understand when we will meet with basic transformation. It will be on the third or fourth class.
Такая вот. Это basis.
So the second one is basis, and this is basis. Yes.
И тут вот еще вот такой вот вектор, знаете, просто здесь вот будет. То это
What's the definition of
уже не
basis?
basis, потому что этот вектор можно получить через
Independent.
процесс.
What is
То есть, грубо говоря,
independent that
вот у нас
we
система
have
координат.
alpha x
И
plus
если
beta
вот
y
здесь вот
equal to 0, and
вот
we need to find the
вектора,
for solution
это
where
вот
on the
linear combinations.
it will be the unique solution. If you
Мы
can find
можем
other
через
items
всякий
that
получить любой
that
вектор.
will be not
Если
equal to
просто
0,
его вытаскиваем.
in this case,
Вот. А если
нет,
появится здесь какой-то такой вектор,
okay guys,
то мы
I understood
получим
that I forgot one place.
притягиваем вот этих векторов. Поэтому
About
это уже не
dependency.
basis.
Actually, there exist 3 ways where we have dependency. I will write in terms of. I will write in terms of matrix, but actually, okay, like one way. So 1, 1, 2, and 1, 1, 2. First one, and for instance, 3, 4, 6. In this case, they are linear dependent. Why? Because they are the same. Second way is when 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 4, and 3, 4, 6. I made this problem. I mean, yeah, it's just multiplication of 2. And the last one, the most difficult one to get it, just looking on these equations, is what did I do?
There's summation.
I summarize them. And it's not so easy to, it's not so trivial to understand and just looking at the equation. So again, you can think, when you know dependency, you look at this and send it.
I still don't.
Okay, we will have why?
So the first number was 6 instance.
You can you choose alpha and betas which won't be 0, and in spite of it it will be 0 in the end.
Yeah. That's right.
Yes, because of definition.
Or 2, 4, 6, for example, and 2, 8,
2, 4, 6.
so 2, 8, and 2, 6, 4.
So you want to yes. Yes, of course. Actually, we will check about this on the last element soon. We will have task. Now we are going to the first task. About this, firstly, I'd like to aware you that I understood that most of the lecturers try to solve tasks with you, solve till the end, using numbers and so on. It's quite nice for some purpose and in some tasks. For instance, when we're talking about solving linear equations, in this case you need to have some practice, handwritten practice. But for the most tasks, as for me, you need to understand the strategy. And for this task, we found 7 possible solutions. And now you need to try to do the same. Because on the first group we found 5, on the next group we found 7. Maybe we find even more. But firstly, before you, let's understand how to think. I mean, when we're looking at the task, we need to understand how to think. And as for me, see, point A and B. Okay, so we know some points, 2 points. What else? What do we know? M point we want to find them.
Coordinate of A and B.
We know what again? What did you say?
The coordinate of A and B.
Yes, I wrote it. What else?
We know AM equals.
We know some equation. What does it mean? The epsilon. I mean, this
The length of.
what's the equation for length? Do we know that? So could you say?
X over B minus XA
Okay. Okay. What do we know also? Yes.
And erase the equal square.
Okay. What else we know? Or we can find?
3 and multiply every day with it.
It's okay. We know the equation, but what else we know?
Where on which side the point?
Which side? Okay,
You know,
it's
coordinates.
about task. But guys, when you look at the task, what are you trying to do? For instance, you won't need to solve this task. What are you doing? What you will do?
Reading the description.
Yes.
Just trying to write the vector.
Okay, so we did it. And after this, what you have? So and in this case,
In first solution.
yes.
Okay, we can just find the vector AB. And then
So you want to think about vectors? Okay, I got it. We will calculate. Yes.
You can find the length of AB.
Okay, first, let's return to this. Yes, we can find the length. We know. Actually, we wrote the equation. What else we can find there?
And we can find the length for the point length. We can
How can we find point length?
if we know length of AB, we can find point length.
Yes, you're talking about one solution. But what else? What can we find using this knowledge?
we have the point M is our unknown. We can write the point M as its
Yes. Again, you said you told the same solution. We will cover it. Tell us. What we can find? Yes.
So you know that we will find the midpoint of segment.
Why do we need it? Okay, we can do it. Okay, let's write it. Set midpoint of segment.
Of the B and then find the midpoint of this point.
Well, solution. What can can find there? Yes.
You can draw.
Draw. Very nice. It's very important because about 3 or 2 solutions is drawing solutions. About this I will talk. Yes.
It's nothing.
Yes.
The
Also, we can find the equation of this line because we have 2 coordinates, and we find the equation of the line. And now, yes, now we can think about solution. What the solution do we have there? First of them, yes, graphical. You can say that it's not very popular, but it might help you if you, for instance, you don't know how to solve it, but you can draw it and you can receive the answer. Is it good? Yes. In real life, guys, you need to get it. That in real life, there is no, let's say, solutions, right or wrong solutions, or right or actually. For instance, I can give you an example. We need to solve some task, and nobody will check, oh, did you use just, I don't know, handwritten solutions. And for this case, I can use GeoGebra, for instance, to solve this task. So, I can draw it in computer. Will I receive the solution? Yes. Will it be correct? Yes. In terms of definition of the correctness of this task. Can I, in this case, can I use Google to solve this task?
Yes.
What do I need to Google there? This task is what? Where from? Okay, as an alternative of GeoGebra. The problem that I cannot use Google there. Actually, I mean it might help. It might help me to find the. Okay, guys, I see the line. I know that as my intuition told me that we have some equations related to the line, and I can Google how to the equation of the line for 2 coordinates. Can I do it? Yes. So I just go and write the equation of the line. And I receive it. There, for instance. Or like this. Some canonical form, and blah blah blah. About so now we understood what we can find. Let's return to your solution. You think in terms of what? When you said to me that we need to solve the system of linear equation. Why do you think about this system of equations?
about vectors.
No, about yes, your solution about vectors. Let's go to this. I need to point to any to the next.
You can find the vector for this point, and you can add like the point with m is 15. Okay, so you can just add to the point A vector moving to the vector in B.
So we found the vector,
Yes.
and what the problem with this? That actually it would be there.
Yeah, but we can scale it by a factor and add this coordinates to some
We
point.
have till there, we have n there, and
We can make it smaller. Now,
so I mean we need to multiply by 3, we found this m, and
then we can add this value to this direction to some point to get the exact value of time.
so actually we want to say that we need to add the right. So guys, did you hear this solution? Again, I will repeat. So we can find the vector because we have two coordinates. The problem is that vector is frameless. It's and usually when we talk about vectors, we notice that it's in, let's say, in initial point. There. We multiply by 3 and we find m. But the problem is that it's positioned there. And from the class you used to just add this point and solve the task. Actually, what are you doing there? Can you imagine?
Translating the point.
Don't see. Roughly speaking, we are making the basis transformation because we have one basis there, and we put new basis there, and we're using a fine transformation to put it there. Actually, translation motion is what people said before. Just for now, you don't think that you just do it at the school and just translate it there. Okay, one solution.
I just what's the solution? We're just moving.
So you find this vector.
Yeah.
Vector is length and direction.
Yep.
You multiply by 3.
Yep.
We found we receive this point.
Okay.
But it's frameless, so it can be movable with this.
Yeah.
But we want to find the coordinates, not the vector. We found the vector, but we need to put the right coordinates. And we put from this basis to this basis, boom, translated. So we just found this AM plus A. We put it there and we found the solution.
And plus.
A. Okay. What else? How about your solution?
We can find the length of the and we can we know one point if we can find numbers which equal to this and we find the coordinate.
So, how do you find the second equation? We have one equation, this one. Do you agree? How many variables do we have? How variables? Неизвестно. No. We have two xm and ym. So we need to find one extra equation. Where can we find this? So, what will be the second equation?
Equation.
What again?
Something like what? Something like the equation where you have a line and draw.
Actually, you already said it. We have equation of the line. Because we can't find it, we have it. So now we have two equations. So this is one equation. So by 3 AB, it will be a constant value. We made it power of 2 to discard the rule. And after this, we solve. What the benefit of this solution? Say it louder, please.
We can find the atmosphere
The main benefit, who else? Who is implied? What the benefit of this solution?
Because we have two unknown variables, so we can
We have two, let's say, two tasks. Actually, using this, we can find both. If we're talking about vectors, so we found the second one, we just need to make AB means y by 3, we just need to make minus sign. We just need, yeah.
Means we will find 2 points n, that is one is higher than n, and the second is lower than n. So we will find 2 points. If like a and a of 3ab, then n can be above the x-axis, and it can be down the x-axis. And this way we will find 2 points.
Actually, because we have square there, we already find, we had
We'll find
okay, yes. We found two solutions. Others, 5. Yeah.
Well, what I did, I just found the vector AB, and then from that we get two solutions. For the first one, it's point A, which translated by vector AB, and in the second solution, we translate point A by the negative AB vector.
Okay, the same as we did in the first solution.
But the solution didn't break.
It's the same what you said.
Translating the point. You did the Pythagoras theorem.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we have 2 points A and B, and we can build a right triangle and build parallel lines in it. We have отношение proportion BM divided by BA equals 1 divided by 4.
Again, so I draw the after this I
Okay.
need
Build right triangle.
from A to B, yes.
And we can build right triangle.
You mean like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have points M in AB. Yeah. And we need to build new right triangle, and we have two similar triangles.
Yes.
And then we can find
How to
coordinates.
M
points.
M K, for instance. How do you want to find it?
Объяснить я не знаю. Окей. MB.
Could you try to do it at your
I did it
notebook?
in my
Notebook. You already did it?
yeah. I did it when M in AB. Вот, в общем, я сделал вот так вот, привести две параллельные линии, и отношения будут одинаковые.
И дальше, ну, как бы все равно должен решить.
Ну, то есть,
И ответ у тебя M
ну, то есть,
неверный, если что.
ну, нет, то есть, вот здесь получается, что M находится от 1/4 от вот этого отрезка. То есть вот это вот.
Почему 1/4?
Ой, 1/2, ну, 1/4 от О, допустим, от С.
Попробуй расписать решение, тогда посмотрим на интересно. Okay, guys. Probably it's one of new solutions that for A you find one more. So let's return others. Yes.
It is correct in terms of this task.
Actually, one of solutions is just open GeoGebra and draw it. And how you can do it with it? So we are putting again. My goal not to learn you to prepare you to exam itself. Because for me, you can do it without me, and it's okay. You can go to other TAs who will try to prepare you to exam itself. My goal to give you a knowledge and intuition how to solve tasks in general. Try to think out of the scope. Because you used to think that no professor told you, Google it. You used to think that you need to just narrow that I have a task, I solve it in this case. Now, why do we need GeoGebra, for instance? When you are preparing to exam at home, you don't, and for instance, you don't have the answer. You can just draw it and receive the answer. It will be correct answer. And after this, you just try to solve it another way, yes, but you already have the answer. It helps you to understand. It helps you to even change the task and play with it. Like, probably I don't want to use a line, I want to use a parabola. And the task might change, and you try to play with it. So, try to think not in terms of the just line or just these precise numbers. And how can we do it? So, I took 2 points, I did it. One coordinate, A, B. I will turn off it. Okay. After this, I made a segment, and you may see that I received the, let's say, the length of this. After this, I multiplied by 3 and received that it will be almost 19. I made a line, and I just took point C. I put point C somewhere. Where it is? Ah, sorry, it is there. Okay, I just put the point C somewhere. Bam. And I put the distance between A and C. Now it's equal to 12. And I just move it till the needed point. Hooray. And I receive minus 3, 16. It's correct answer. What else? Brute force? What do you mean by brute force in this case?
Right program.
Okay, but could we make a smart brute force in this case?
Yes, also you can brute force the line.
By research.
Actually, okay. I really like that you try to think out of the scope because you used to think in just terms of mass. Actually, you can think in terms of geometry. What do we have? We have a line. What does it mean, AB, this one? Actually, we don't know the coordinate, but we know the length. What is it? Circle. We can try to find intersection between circle and the line. And we will receive 2 solutions between. Actually, what it will be? It will be this equation. It's a circle because XA is a pole and this is the length, XM plus YM and so on. Actually, we received the same equation as before, but now it's not a just equation for us, but it's the, let me say, interpretation. Yes, we understood it, that it's actually intersection between circle and line. And I can say the different solution. Did you get this way? Because a lot of tasks can be solved using geometrical way.
So we now discovered 6 tools or something.
Yes, I'm also one. Did you solve? Try it with okay. Could you refresh all solutions which we made? Could you see the algorithm or how can we solve this task in such manner? So what can we do? Who is the GeoGebra? Okay, first I give you a hint. What else? You're so afraid that. Why so afraid? Oh, you didn't get anything from this class? So, again, when you say the possible solution, what the algorithm can be used to solve this task? So just to repeat, what we found during last 10 minutes. We didn't use the word. It was imposter who told this. What was the first? He said line and system. System of communication. Okay. First one. Congrats. What else? Заверка. Последний. Could you explain other methods?
The simplest one is just Google it or GeoGebra.
GeoGebra. I put a link to this.
Yeah, okay. The second one. Have she told about equation?
Yes.
Okay, about circle equation was told. Really funny one of solution is just trying different numbers and find the answer. Like, is 3 acceptable? No. Okay. Is 4 acceptable? No. And so on. Also, we can draw it by ourselves and find some logic in how to say it. How our coordinate changes. If like we can find that for each one coordinate of x will decrease by 3, and we know that our original
Yeah. What else?
okay, yes. I couldn't understand how midpoint would connect it.
The point we didn't guess.
Yes?
No midpoint.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I don't think so.
Vector. And vector method.
No. Equation of the line, yes. How many we have? Four?
No.
What? 6?
Yes. I wish some.
Vanya, what do you say? Okay. What again? Yes. So, I see English is quite complicated for you right now, guys. Other teams were more active. Okay, the GeoGebra, as I told you, is one of possible solutions. Now we are going to this task. Now forget about first one, about second one. Forget about the second one, forget about first one. Okay, what do you think? Yes. How to solve? When you are reading this, what do you think? Yes. So what do you need to know? What do you problem?
You can draw these sketches and
I don't see vectors there. I see vectors there, but
okay, and we make points and bases, and you can make lines.
then firstly, do you know what does mean gravity center?
No.
You're trying to find gravity center without knowing what is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just Google it.
What do you say about this thing? It's for this triangle, but actually,
central medians.
do you know the difference between center of mass and center of gravity? Oh, does it exist or no?
It's in physics, but it's same. It's like
Firstly, about this task. Some of you know the property of, okay, when you see this task, you know the property that is the center of intersection of medians. And we can solve it using this way. Nice. Second, my intuition told me that actually when I look on this task, it looks like I need to have only one equation. It looks like this. So what can I do? I can just go and find the center of gravity, gravity center of triangle plate. Of triangle. And yes, we found the centroid and we find this equation. This one.
Geometry center.
Geometry center, yes.
Okay, nice.
So we can find this because when you look at the task, you can understand that actually some tasks just need some equations to sit, and you need to think about vectors or whatever. So actually, what is it? It's x1 plus x2 plus x3 divided by 3. And it's the same for y. And we solve this task. Even without knowing that, but if you don't know about this, you can use the property of triangle. Nice. What else? What can we use to solve this task? GeoGebra, I prefer in this case, not GeoGebra, but
Fusion.
Yes, for instance. And we can do it in such manner.
Really?
Yes.
Nice.
I can just draw it and find it free to the answer. Using, of course, the property of triangles. Because it is medians and the count. Okay. Yeah, I know that most of the professors won't say that use Google or something like this, but again, in real life, nobody prohibits you to use it. Try to think that you cannot Google everything. And most of the time, even if you try to put this task in the Google, probably you won't find a solution. Because it's not from Solver. Even more, if not mistaken, we just translated it from Russian to English. So, but you need to understand what can be Googleable and not Googleable. What else? What can we do there? Because but let's return to gravity center.
How?
Create this triangle infinity, and there is like the point in the center of each finger.
Yeah.
I have idea.
About difference between gravity center.
Yes. If you have, for example, 2 points, A and B, for example, so we have create. Короче.
Right.
So I can to explain and talk about in Russian language. So, если мы имеем 2 точки, мы можем найти, естественно, по прямой им задать. У нас есть сама функция. Okay. Мы можем найти саму функцию. Вот это, которая kx плюс b. Если мы имеем 2, мы можем найти их точку пересечения. Собственно. Ну и через свойство медиан можно просто найти вот это пересечение.
Okay. He said the bullshit that says that. Okay, the gravity center and triangle. In classical mechanics, it's the same.
Maybe I have it, but I don't know if it's true. I'm not sure.
Yeah, actually, we did. Yeah, 2 divided by 3, for mistake. If the property is 2 divided by 3, but I can be wrong. So again, return to the gravity center, center of mass. When we are talking about physics, and we draw this one and put m, when we want to draw force, how we do it? We put it probably in center, yes. And after this, what we do? Vector.
I don't see
Vector F.
mg, yes, we do like this.
Okay.
But is it a simplification or not?
This is conservative.
I mean that is it simplification of let's say describing this figure?
Yeah, it's a goal.
What again?
Physics is using models to simplify the task.
So, but what the simplicity there in this case?
Drawing this like more
Exact center of masses.
Firstly, in real life, there are not concentrated forces. All forces are distributed. It can be distributed by square, like this, or like mg. Actually, it's distributed by volume, по объему. And the problem that when we are saying there, the gravity force on my shoulder, on my knees, on my head will be almost the same, because I'm quite small according to the Earth. But if I'm using it's assumed that Earth, and I hope you remember it's not spherical, but helioid or something like this. I mean, below it. It's like an ellipsoid. And I use a quite big bar. Bar, it's a silicon, aluminum bar, for instance. And my gravity force there will be 9.8 and there 9.5. In this case, I cannot assume that my volume is uniformly distributed. It's the reason why I cannot say in this case my center of mass and center of gravity will be different. How can we find it in real life? Actually, thanks to the cut model. Why do we need it? Guys, do you think why do we need the center of gravity, center of mass? Where we can use the center of gravity? In the real life, yes.
Probably the construction of something like sheets or
Architecture, okay. What else?
Just want to say that the gravity center depends on the position concerning the gravity.
What about, I mean, where do we need it? What application? Yeah.
Programs to simulate something.
Simulate, okay. Actually, to control.
To balance.
You can see more information there in the video. What about this? Actually, who have seen the Boston Dynamics? Yes. What about you guys? You didn't see the road from Boston Dynamics? Atlas and so on. Okay, so the problem is that when we control something, we can, when we talk about gate control, походки, we can talk about two possible ways: static, quasi-static, we drop it, and dynamic. When we talk about static, what does it mean? In each moment, I can stay in this position. So how I can move? Like this. In each position, I can stand like this. When we're talking about dynamic, it's like our running. In this case, if I change the center of mass, I will fall. So the MP zero moment position is algorithm which can be used in when we are trying to control in static way, like this. And what does it mean? We have the projection of our robot on the top, on the bottom. And if our center of mass will be out of this triangle or whatever, I mean this shape, in this case our robot will fall. Like I'm saying like this and I fall because my center of mass now is somewhere else, somewhere there. It's just a way to control this robot. How can we find the center of mass in real life? Actually, there are two ways. Yeah.
You said static, dynamic, and
Quasi-static. Yes. Forget about quasi-static right now. Okay, yes. In real life, in classic mathematical classes, you can just take the integral and suffer. In our case, we can open CAD model. And for instance, I took this mechanism. I just choose the body and choose the center of mass. Hooray! I found this point. Even more, I can choose other object, also make the center of mass. And I can find the summary, I mean the center of mass in the whole device, yes. And it will be there. So, right now we don't need to think it in terms of mathematician, we can just use CAD models. While, for instance, I need to find the center of mass of, I don't know, for instance this tripod. I can just make it in CAD model even if I don't have this CAD model. And using CAD model, find the center of mass. It will be easier than use ropes. Probably you have seen some experiments how to do it like the bird, you know, this toy, the bird who is staying on the, let's say, do you know the name how this toy called? So the toy, so you have the, how to say, the postament like this, and the bird, yes, it can rotate around this point. Yes, the bird. And it works because of center of mass. But let's return to the task. So now we discussed, so we understood the center of gravity and center of mass is the same, classical mechanics. Just now we will know something more. Okay guys, what about the second part? How can we solve it?
Second.
Except intersection of medians. Could you explain what equations we have?
It's from Oma. I don't know if you remember this.
Equation, okay, what equation? Fine, equation. Really nice answer. Probably I need to make equation. Yeah.
Okay, so you showed us the formula that if we sum all the coordinates, like all x's, and divide them by the number of points, and then all y's divided by the number of points, we'll get a point of the median of that shape. So,
except medians, okay. Using medians we can solve.
Okay, I'm sorry, we can find the center of gravity or center of mass using this one. And if it is 0, or 0 vector, that means that the center of mass of this triangle is on the original coordinates. Right?
It depends where you put the original coordinate.
Oh, because 0 is like a 0 vector, right? And if we sum all
Zero vector doesn't mean that it's origin. I mean, it's.
okay, I mean, it's in the same point where O is.
I'd like to remind you that vector doesn't have a frame, and I call zero vector in any place. Okay.
O is the center of mass of the triangle ABC.
Why did you say that it should be like this? Of course, I put it in near because it's
well,
true. But why did you say?
Yeah, because like if O is the center of mass, then if we sum all the coordinates x and divide by 3, then all the coordinates y and divide by 3, we get the median.
Okay.
And here the median will be like OM.
Okay.
And since OM is a 0 vector, then O is the same as M.
Yeah, you solve it using property of medians. I told you
Yeah.
accept this. Do you know the other solutions how to solve it? Without using controid. Okay. So draw it. Really nice. What do you need to do?
So it's
So no medians, okay, without medians, стоять. I told you medians is okay, sit down.
Если погуглишь.
Потом точка мы просто... Okay guys, I give you two possible ways. One of them, we won't use it right now because let's say you need more practice. Actually, we can assume that we can put a basis in terms of A, B, C. So our basis will be AC and AB. And we can assume that O, it will be alpha AB plus beta AC. It will be AO. And we can draw some equations like this and find this. But I told you we will cover it later because right now it's quite complicated for you to think in terms of basis. But I don't know, will it be the proof for mathematician? But so let's put again 0 there. And so the question is, other side partial of the set triangle. We draw OA and OC. what will be the summary of it? It will be
As a result,
okay.
and okay.
OB there. Can we find such position so that OK will be OB? I mean, inside. Yes, because we have, how to say, can we find zero? Zero vector. Yes, because we have how to say, the different sign at least. But let's put it
Outside.
Yeah, we can make it
outside. In this case, even if it's not collinear, it will have the same sign. In this case, we cannot just physically make it equal to zero. In general case, so you can understand it using just vectors representation. Did you get it? Could you repeat? So in this case, you didn't get it. What you didn't get? Скажи нам.
Ну, получается, у нас которые сверху, если они...
Ветро сверху.
Нет, на рисунке.
Где какое?
У нас есть три точки. А, Б, А, Б, С.
She's trying to explain it. Did you get this how to solve it?
Yeah.
Okay, so okay. Давай. Есть точка О, есть три точки. Супер. Дальше. Попробуй это, чем больше знаешь, тем лучше. Мы используем свойства. We are using the property of vector algebra. That when we make a summarization, in this case we just receive the direction and something like this. There is why I can OK there. Just so we just summarize the vector. Actually, we can see it there. And we have OB. Actually, we can redraw it OA plus OB. It will be equal to CO. Like this. And you just do the same.
Yeah, but the letters.
I change it because I change the sign. Yes. When I change the sign, I
know. You can summing OA and OC.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It
doesn't matter. So
yes. And I just draw what was written there, and I just try to understand what's going on and the reasons. Actually, if you during the exam, you can just show two cases. As for me, it marks grade for this task. If some professors will discuss, I will defend you. Because for me, it's proof. But I'm not a mathematician again. I am an engineer, so it might be a problem. For Puzhankova. Because Puzhankova is mathematician and I'm engineer, and sometimes we are fighting. Okay, guys. Blah 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 blah. Okay. What does it mean, complainer? No, I want to. Right. What's your name? Super.
Vectors lie in the same assembly.
Okay. Actually, if we're talking about bases, we have two vectors. It should be in space. I hope you get it. In this case, it means that linear dependent. But if you don't know what we are doing to make Google. Yes. And I really have a nice site for this. I really online school. And actually, open the definition condition of vector complementarity. I ask you, you need to, okay. Vectors are complementary of their scalar triple product. We don't know it right now, forget about it. Go else. These three vectors if they are linear dependent. I know what does it mean linear dependent. So I can solve this task. So for solving this task, and also let's check one. Okay. Do you have any, so what we need to do there? How to solve this task?
Maybe we should solve a system of equations, which would be like a times one vector plus b times another vector plus c times the third vector is equal to 0. We need to solve this equation and prove that there is more than one solution. That was
Okay, in this case, could you solve using when we are writing as a columns? Solve this linear equation as a columns on the whiteboard.
That will be like 3 equations, right?
Yeah, solve this equation. You say it? Do it.
It's very hard and it's
No, do it.
time.
Давай, давай. We have 10 minutes. You need to do it as fast as
So
possible.
the equation are-
And I need a second volunteer. Давай, Гриша. You are solving this task using not columns but rows. Write it in different manner. Me? No, you are like the column one. So you're writing it in. Actually, you transpose the matrix, but actually you need to.
I just need to solve it.
Okay,
so in a row, you say.
I wrote it. Just solve it.
So,
Why we are solving this? Because you need to understand what you will receive in the end. Because some people from different classes, I mean different groups, yeah, they didn't get what we need to receive in the end.
I got that, but I have to write 3 equations and make system equations and so on. Like there's no escaping me getting off the vectors.
You want to solve using Gaussian or something like this?
No, I want to do the system of
So
equations.
solve it like this, yes.
You told me to be inside the vector.
No, you go to
Oh,
this
okay.
linear equation. No, wait.
I said
thanks.
that
No,
was
I
like
get
that
it, yes.
before,
No. We didn't even cover matrices, so. What we do now, it's a practical skills, because on some tasks you have to solve it using your hands and you can make a lot of mistakes. It's the reason why we are training people.
That's interesting because whichever 2 equations I sum, I get the other one.
Yes, so what does it mean for us?
That means that all like
So it's
here are equivalent.
Yes, so okay, but in this case, what could you receive the final answer? I mean, A, B, and so.
Yeah.
So it's the reason why I put it there, because yes, I know that it's
obtains
we can
that
find that
v equals
I'm just
0,
wondering how
and
do
then
I
c equals
prove
0,
this?
and
Like I
then
can get from here to
try to
A, B,
receive
C.
ABC. Try to receive and you will understand.
Yeah. Impossible.
So
minus 1, minus 4, but
0 equal to 0.
Yeah.
we...
So what does it mean?
All A, B,
So
are
yes. So in this case, yes, you just need to receive. So we got 0 equal to 0 is the reason why I put it there, because it means that you have. So yes, right now.
he wrote c as a coefficient here, and
not equal to...
The next test is
You just solve one and you can practice at home.
Ну, я просто что я хочу, чтобы проверить.
Yeah,
Сейчас
that's fine.
можно ставить, если медленно получится, тогда они... Надо...
Did you receive? No, it's wrong.
Maybe it's wrong.
Yes.
Если я, например, одно выразил, другое поставил правильно, получится.
Ну, все, это говорит.
Это значит, они
Ну да, все. So guys, if you have three equations, but you receive that two of them are equal, it means that zero equal to zero. It means that you have infinite amount. So it means that they are independent. That's it. We solve it.
So, because it's weird, like how do you go from like this?
Because okay,
to
try to
like
solve
this. Like,
okay, try to solve the.
Я условно говорю, что выразил сюда, типа, и поставил
Solve this one.
Ну, если ставишь одинаковые, значит написано
So what you receive?
то же самое. Если там суммарный будет смерть, значит никакого, ну не суммарный, но это геометрический. Да, конечно.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But what I just don't understand. Oh, those you meant to put like.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking, what about noise?
Okay. So solve this. Yes. And you know that you will receive that. You will receive A and B, but I mean.
Yes. Okay. So let's solve this. We'll get. Let's say we multiply this one by 3. We'll get 3 alpha plus 6 beta, and 3 alpha plus 4 beta. Okay. So now square one from the other. We'll get 0. And that means that beta is equal to 0. 0.
And one equation is equal to
And yeah.
right.
Now
So right, it will be equal to 0 and.
Okay, and alpha is equal to
Yes.
beta is equal to 0. Alpha is equal to 0.
Yes, in this case, it's found
the
one
only
solution.
solution.
Yes, the only solution.
Yeah, here we have infinitely many solutions.
Yes. So
Yeah.
guys, again.
So yeah.
So, короче, ты опозоришься.
I just don't understand why we have to put this equation here.
So, guys, again,
So,
pay attention, please. Okay. Again, we solved two tasks. One of them, but you definitely know that it's linear independent. I hope so. You understood it. And this one we not sure. When I solve this one, we are receiving that two betas equal to 0 and alpha equal to 0. We have unique solution. According to definition, it's linear independent because alpha equal to 0, beta equal to 0. In this case, we say that one of our equations is 0 equal to 0. I hope you receive it. It means that we have infinite number of solutions. It means that it's linear dependent. So, it's the reason why we wrote explicitly, because you need to understand if equal to 0, it's dependent, otherwise independent. Okay. Yes. How solve the complementary again? Let's draw these vectors. Could you again? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Second one. 4, 1, 5.
4, 1, 5.
And
And the third one,
Minus one.
minus 1, 3, 2. Yep.
And after this, let's vector. If you look at this, you may see that it's one line, so it means that it's in the plane. So again, we can check that we solve it correctly because we draw it and see that it's on a plane. Hooray, we solve it. Actually, we can't draw even a plane, because plane, it's
Dot. You can draw it by 3 dots.
3 dots, for instance, yes. A, B, C.
Wow.
So beautiful.
Okay. And I'm doing by myself. So actually, this task is not very nice to explain. Say this set of vectors of subspace or what? It's a problem. I will just explain. If you want, if you have questions, you can ask after the class. So the goal is following. The only answer that it's subspace, only the second one. Otherwise, others are no. Why? Because the property of subspace is this. So the first part was that we have a plane that should be more than 0. So how can we check it? We need to take 2 vectors, and if so, we took 2 vectors. 1, second. Some of them will be in the positive. Hooray! But I can take 1 and 2, and our vector will be the negative part. So it's not subspace. Or we can took this vector and took the third element, C. For instance, 5, and it will be like this. So closure under addition and closure under multiplication. The same for y less than, so y less than 0, x and blah blah, so the same. And even radius. To sum up, I really recommend you. So I put the videos of the free around because I really like them. For vector and basically you're dependent. Because I see that for you it's not very clear, even more we are speaking in English and you're also frustrated. So try to look at this and understand what's going on. Again, remind you about our workflow. On Friday you receive a lecture, you are watching, listening lecture, tutorial. After this you try to understand what's going on in the lab. Because right now, all of you can answer on my questions, some of you not. It would be nice if we have more people who can interact with me. Because I have to give me the answer. I don't want to do all this. Okay guys, see you. Wait a moment, I need to turn off the video.